What's up, dudes? Been a while. Did we do one? Oh, we did one late last Tuesday. That's right. The last minute stream. But yeah, still been a while in general. So, what's up, Pudgy? What's up, Rick? What's up, Jay Dandy? And the five others that I can see are watching. How you guys doing? Um, yeah, I was out cruising around tonight. Had to get some photos for work at a farmer's market. And then I went over. So the solstice, June 21st, is apparently skate day. I was following an Instagram account like where there's a DIY skate spot called the Rail Yard. They wrote like something about having an old school skateboard competition, so I wanted to go check that out and take some photos. They didn't have the date, so yesterday I'm like, "What's the date?" And then they said today. And so then I saw some of the skateboard brands that I follow, still like mostly old school brands, Powell Peralta and stuff, say, "Oh, happy skate day." And so when I got there, my one friend was hanging out, and I was like, like every sport brand, whatever, uses the solstice to also advertise their stuff. So I think I got an email from Rafa, longest day of the year, do your longest ride. So I was like, you guys probably have focused on that it's skate day for a number of years, but everybody else uses that for their own devices. So yeah, I had no idea. But anyways, it was still it was fun to go out there. My friends have made this really cool DIY spot. I'll probably work some of that footage into a video, and I might make a longer video of just like the slow-mo I shot of the skate spot on the other channel, so I could just make, because that channel is just do whatever I want with. So maybe like some slow music and a bunch of cool slow mo footage of skateboarders. But anyways, so hey, what's up, Raymond? Hey, what's up, Nate? How you doing? Um, yeah, I did put a couple, Rick. I did get a couple up on Instagram stories, I believe. Wi-Fi'd them over from the camera and posted a few. But then after that, the light got better, and also the train came by because it's a rail yard. It's an old spot where they used to store railroad ties. So it's a skate spot that's kind of undercover. It's like a falling apart canopy. Really cool. Um, so yeah, as the light got better, I started doing the slow mo and more photos. Where are you at now, Big Nate? Are you back home before you go on your next adventure? So, what's up, Muskrat? Muskrat, I actually talked in text. I didn't talk. I was actually texting with Pete Milo about some music today and possibly doing, uh, possibly playing a little bit again. So we'll see. Not the Strange Division, but his personal projects, just me doing sideman bass work for him. Uh, yeah, we'll see. I'll keep you posted. I'll keep everyone posted. Be interesting for me to get back on a stage. It's been a long, long time. So, speaking of Raymond, Raymond, I was curious. You posted your drink photo here. Let me move my face out of the way. Whoops, that's the wrong box. Um, what's the camera you have there in the background? I love the vintage camera strap, by the way. I've got a nice little collection of those. Oh, it's not a vintage camera. When I first glanced at it, getting the stream ready with the dials on top, I thought it was a vintage camera, but that's actually what, a Fuji or something? I'm guessing that's a Fuji, what, an XT4 or something like that. I'm not a Fuji guy, so I don't know. I have Fuji film cameras, but not their modern stuff. But I know they're the ones who still make vintage looking modern cameras with clicky dials and all that. So, oh, Nate, you said you're back home for a couple weeks. Cool. Um, who asked? Oh, Big Nate. So, Nutmeg, they don't announce it. So they announce the dates of Nutmeg, but when the tickets go on sale, you really just have to follow their Instagram account, I believe. I know Pudgy would know more about that than uh, I would, but was that a? Did I get that right? Nice, Raymond. Yeah, got the camera right. So yeah, Nutmeg it'll be random. I think when did they go on sale last year, Pudgy? Was it late? Was it August? Um, I feel like it was August. Let me know, Pudgy. You'd remember. He's done it more. I've only done it once, and Aaron was stalking the website, or just stalking the social media accounts for the when they went online, and then hit us all up like they're on sale. And I don't know. I know we've all talked about this, Pudgy, but I feel like they're going to be a hot commodity this year. That event just got so much press last year. And I mean, when I say so much, it's still in our little group, and Connecticut is still a hike for a lot of people, but it's not a hike for people who live in Boston or New York City. I really feel like it's going to, if they stick to the amount that they did last year, they will go fast, in my opinion. So, then speaking of photos in the Discord, I think we do have to jump right to this. Uh, that Rick did get some kind of bike in the mail today. Is that a woman's bike? Because the top tube is low. I'm just kidding. Um, Rick got his Riven Dell in the post, as the British would say today. Which, yes, the paint looks amazing. The bike looks amazing. So did have to show that. I think he had a couple close-ups of the lug work as well. Oh yeah, here we go. Yep. For your skirt wearing, yeah. You're not allowed to run a triple or a chamois with that bike. Yeah, Rick had sex with it. Yeah, I wouldn't put your hands anywhere around that open seat post if you visit Rick. Did we get? Oh, and then, yeah, Raymond, who's in the chat, posted this great photo of his evasion as well. But Rick is still in the spotlight tonight, so Pudgy said that thing is pretty slammed for Rick. Well, like he said, he will not be cutting the steerer. So, how do they even measure those bikes? Large clear code. I would, because they're so long and slack. Like, I'm just like, I guess you would go top of seat tube to bottom bracket is still what the measurement would be based on, right? So it's just going to be your, it's not going to be based on reach. It's going to be based on um, just the height. But then again, when I think about all my bikes, that's kind of what is the determining factor. I could ride anything long as where I'm sitting and my reach to the pedal is the same. You know, if I reach, like if my reach, for me, it's like something being slammed is just how far down and out my hands are, and something being comfortable is just like, like when I rode the Gunner is how far back they are. But the thing I do is I feel like I could ride any bike long as there's enough seat post to get my legs in the position I want them to be. So, yeah. Pudgy said seat collar to top of the head too. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Rusty? Yeah, I was talking about this with someone else, like when we rented bikes in New York. I'm like the least picky about bike fit. Like when I watch like a Lanky video when he travels and he's like got his saddle and he's got his pedals. And I'm not saying this is a negative, just like some people are very like in tune with bike fit and they need the bike to fit right or they're not comfortable. I'm not one of those people. It's like long as like my pedal stroke, whatever you would call that, like is comfortable, I could ride pretty much anything. Like I said on the Gunner, I did not love the C17. It beat me up a little bit, but it also didn't ruin my day. Like I still rode it. So Rick said with the Rivendell with the Gus, they say size up from your normal size you'd use. Huh. I really wish I would have just asked someone at Nutmeg to ride that bike. Was it a different one, Pudgy? There was that Helmet Kids or who had the orange one out there at Nutmeg? And I just saw those huge gaps, and I just wanted, or that just huge wheelbase, and I wanted to know what that felt like. And I'm sure the dude, if I was like, "Can I ride this just around in a circle?" would have let me, but I didn't do it. So oh, Pudgy, you said one of your racers, so one a psychotherapy guy podiumed at Funk Bottoms. Rusty said he thought he did, but he didn't. And so Rusty, did Boris not finish on the single speed? So Funk Bottoms, for those you don't know, was what is it? The long route is a 200K with 13,000, I think it turned out to be, feet of climbing. So yeah, there he goes. There were apparently two single speed riders at the 200K you never saw. So a 200K ride. Um, yeah, I didn't. I saw Boris's stories, but he wasn't clear on whether because I know he's never finished it on a single speed, whether he finished it or not. How brutal was it, Rusty? Was it like the worst thing you've ever done? Well, you do ultra endurance running, but on a bike was it the worst thing you've ever done? So, Rusty said Boris did not finish, so it still is white whale, as he says. Boris is he works part time at Joy Machines. He was in our when we went out to our ride with the Joy Machines guy camp video, but that's his thing is finishing the long version, the 200K on a single speed. So Rusty said it was pretty rough, but not horrible. We have two conversations going on I think right now about the opposite end of the spectrums. We've got the super chill Rivendell, and Pudgy said, yeah, it was Homa Kids who had one, and a guy named Justin. Yeah. And then we're also talking about, why did I just draw a blank on the name of the race we're talking about? But yeah. Hey, what's up, Dylan? Jay Dandy also rode the race, and he said, I imploded the last 10 miles and hated everybody. A couple days out, and I need to go back for revenge. Yeah, that's how it always is, right? When I ran my first half marathon, like I only ran a few, like I was like, that's it, I'm done. Like I did one. Like that's way too far for me. Obviously, Funk Bottoms, yes, is the name of the race. Like I don't need to do that again. And then like a week later, I'm like, I know I can do that faster. And that's always how it is, right? Black Fork's one of those things for me, which I think is like, you know, I guess climbing wise for the distance does compare a little bit to Funk Bottom, but I did it once, and then every year when I think of signing up, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to do that, So maybe it's that I'm older. I'm not a glutton for punishment. Like I just like planning my bike adventures around just pure fun. So oh yeah, speaking of Dylan, so we had a pretty fun weekend. Well, I'm still cooked. I went out today and I only did, I think, 14 miles to get down to Summit Lake and then to head over to that rail yard skateboard thing that I went to. My legs are still feeling it. So me, Aaron, and Dylan rode 80 miles down to um, the mountain bike trails at Camp Tuscazor. And then we had a little over 70-mile day home, but we rode all the mountain bike trails in the morning, which I could tell at the end I was like feeling from. I don't ride mountain bikes that much, or mountain biking. I was riding my Raleigh, my gravel bike. But yeah, I could tell I was feeling it, but my legs are still absolutely feeling it from that weekend. So 150 miles over 2 days, which doesn't seem that crazy, but the route down being country roads was, I think, over 3,000 feet of climbing. Not insane, but still decent amount of climbing. And then on the way back, we had like 10 miles in and 1,500 feet on the mountain bike trails. So, and then 60 miles home. And I think we took off way too fast down the towpath. We rode the first half, in the upper teens pretty quickly. And yeah, I could actually still feel it. Like I said, I'm 43. I don't recover as fast, but yeah. So yeah, I know Lanky had made a couple comments on the videos, but those trails at Camp Tuscazor were a blast, and the camping down there is awesome. Like we had a campsite that you could have 30 people on, and there were four of us because Large Marge just drove down that night, and it was secluded, and the mountain bike trails were right there. It was awesome. You could ride right up off the towpath and stuff like that. So it was awesome. That was such a cool spot, and I was really into it. Oh, so Rick, you asked what was with that cooler. So, like I said, Ben drove down because he had to work till 4 o'clock, and by the time he actually got out the door, I think it was closer to 5. So he would have had even just going straight down the towpath from Dirty River um, Bicycle Works, his shop, still would have been 53 miles if he was like completely ready just to walk out the door and ride down there. So he drove down, but it worked out really good because we rode the flow trails at the top, which are a blast, and you could ride on pretty much any kind of capable gravel bike, whatever. And then Erin actually put her bike in Ben's car and drove home. So Ben was able to ride the more gnarly mountain bike trails with us. Large Marge was able to ride the more gnarly mountain bike trails with us and ride all the way home and just pick up his car later. So, oh, and Large said those Tux trails were confusing. That's another thing I talked to Lanky about. Where, so the trails at Camp Tuscazor are technically bi-directional, but there's a preferred way. But where they post those arrows, if you just show up, you would never know that. If you didn't talk to somebody who like was involved in the trails down there, there's no way to know that you were getting on a trail in the wrong direction. And we apparently had rode all the trails in the wrong direction. And then we ran into one of the guys out on the trails. And I think I pulled up later because I am not as good uh, of a mountain biker as you know, definitely Dylan, but even Large. So I was a little behind, and they were already talking to him, and were like, "Are these trails?" But I think they probably asked him if we were cool to go that way. When I pulled up, he was like, "Yeah, you're technically allowed to ride them in either direction." And then he gave us a bunch of directions to hit the rest of the trails, which we totally failed on, I believe. I was saying that me and Large's lack of mountain bike navigation skills might have rubbed off on Dylan a little bit. So, yeah, but we didn't end up even hitting all the trails, even though we thought we had hit most of them. We even hit a trail that wasn't apparently open yet, so we hit some brand new trails. But yeah, we still had a blast out there riding it. I mean, you could send it down those things like crazy. So the cooler. What do you think was in the cooler, Rick? Have you met us? Yeah, I was talking about this, but I think the way to go with Camp Tuscazor, at least if you live in this area, you have to rent the campsite for 2 days anyway. So we paid for one extra day, but there was still only $30 for 2 nights. And like I said, you're allowed to have 30 people down there, which is way more than I would ever get together. But even with four of us, you break that down, it's nothing, right? Would be to ride down, the long ride down, camp on Friday, then you have all day Saturday to explore those trails. You know, if you want to ride a little bit on Sunday morning and then ride home. But very cool, really cool, and yeah, I don't know. I was really impressed with the whole place. It was Tim's liver replacement. I was also thinking about this because I've talked to people like when I've been on things from other cities, and they're like about the beer and cycling thing or the brewery and cycling thing. So for the route down, I had I had planned it so we would go to a place called Unhitched Brewing, which I've been once when they first opened in a car. Um, like I said in the video, genuine article, Micah does all their can artwork. But I think the reason it goes so hand in hand is it's just a destination and something to do. Like Louisville, Ohio is a place I've had never heard of or would never go. But the whole thing about it is it's a destination. So, and in general, there's exceptions, but breweries are places where someone has to be like very into what they're doing. So, like a lot of the smaller ones that do food as well are very into it. So, like when we went down there, like me and Aaron had a beer with our food, and the food was really good. And it was in a small town that we've never been to. It gave us a place to aim for, and then we went over to Minerva and we had one beer there. and it was a good break. And it was 80-mile day, like I said, with over 3,000 feet of climbing. So you know, another good just stopping point to sit on a patio in the shade and have a beer and have something to talk about and hang out. So like I think a lot of the things that like sometimes people miss, it's not really necessarily about drinking. Like, I am someone who drinks, but that's not what we were doing. Like we had a beer with lunch, we had a beer to break, and then we went to Camp Tuscazor. But like that route that I planned, like the most direct route is all bike path right down to Camp Tuscazor, the way we came home. But that's not the day we had. We hit these beautiful country roads. We went through Magnolia, and I think some of the roads we rode past Magnolia would have been gravel a few years ago, but now they were chip and seal. But these are roads with no painted lines, anything like that. And it's like I wouldn't have been out that way unless I had a reason to go that way. And small towns like now there's someone who puts a brewery in as like a destination point. There's locals there, but like it also brings stuff into the town. And you know, what else would you say about a really small town like with a main street that like has a reason for you to go there? Like a lot of times like the old ones, like legacy cities, they have what, an antique store? What are you going to do there on your bike? Maybe a coffee shop. How good are the coffee shops in small towns? Usually trash if you like good coffee. So it's like, I don't know. It gives you a reason to head to that place and plan your route in that way. And I think that's like really cool and kind of exciting. So, like I said, it's not necessarily about drinking, but it's about a place to go and talk. And I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. But it's something I was thinking about a lot after the weekend. And I'm just like, why breweries? Like, why plan a route around breweries? And I'm like, because that's one thing a small town could do to attract you into there, right? Because you guys know, I don't want to just go do I can, and I do it on my own sometimes, some big loop and plan it, and it's just roads, and I just go ride my bike for 40 miles and I'm home. But a lot of what we like to do is go spend our day on the bike, and like that's a way to make that make sense. So, yeah. Oh, Dylan said, sorry, I've just been rambling. Found out today my friend has a cabin 25 minutes away from Tuscazor, and we could stay whenever. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Oh, we need to get a map up here. Leesville Lake. I have never heard of that. I'm always feeling mappy when Jay Dandy's in the chat. I didn't pull up the tab before I started because I got home late, but I will get it up there. Leesville Lake, Ohio. Oh, it looks like a dammed up river. I'll pull that up in a second. Let me get it back to the chat. Dimitri, like, did I make sure to stop at all the stop signs? Yeah, I stopped in Detroit. Yeah, and so exactly, Dylan. Like you said, you had zero beers and had fun, but right, that route was once we got out of Akron and a couple busy roads, but the route was fun because we had somewhere to go. That's why the route existed. So you don't have to drink. Like, and you could have, like you said, we were in a small town that had a place with vegan cheese. There was not going to be a restaurant that opened up in Louisville, Ohio with vegan cheese if it wasn't a brewery. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dylan, but right? It was because it's people who are into what they're doing and care about people coming in from other places, and they know people who are coming here as a destination might be vegans. How many vegans are in Louisville, Ohio? It's probably a very small amount, not worth having that kind of food for. They have that food because they know we're coming in from somewhere else, right? Nathan said he rides Saturday mornings with a bike club to breakfast. Yeah, any of that. And like, you know, there's all kinds of reasons. Like I know Lanky does a bunch of coffee rides and he tries coffee shops in different small towns. Yeah. And yeah, so what Dylan just wrote goes with what uh, Rick was saying, towns full of climate change deniers and Trump supporters. That's what these places are, beacons for non-Trump supporters and non-climate change deniers, right? You know, Dimitri, you said, oh, out in Toronto, all the rail trails have nothing around them. That's a good reason. No, so the towpath here is a canal trail, but just for the record, but same thing as a rail trail. It does go through all the towns because it's an old canal towpath, and you know Akron only exists because of the canal. Uh, so all the towns along there only exist because of the canal. But so there are towns to go through. But when you plan a route around doing something different, that's kind of what's cool. Is we I had never even some of the towns we went to weren't exciting, but I still like to have that mental map and see them. Like the last one we stopped in, Dylan, me, Dylan, and Aaron stopped in Mineral City. There was a bar called the Drunken Uncle. uh, one other bar I can't remember what it was called. It was like what was it? It was really generic. It was just like happy hour bar. And then the drive-through where we grabbed some food and me and Aaron grabbed some beer for the campfire. But again, like I just why would I ever have been in Mineral City, Ohio? No reason. This is the only reason. It was along the route that was taking us to where our destination had gone, you know? So, yeah, good point, Rusty. So, he said, how many people as a whole are in Louis? I keep saying Louisville because I've been to Louisville, Kentucky a number of times. Yeah, so, and again, so once you get the good brewery and people are coming there as tourists to your little town, then maybe someone does open up a good coffee shop uh, like Bell Fountain, Ohio. Bell Fountain, Ohio had a really good when I rode with Pudgy on the last psychotherapy ride. You know, they have a good coffee shop. There were two good restaurants and a brewery. I'm sure the brewery was the first thing that went in there. And then probably a lot of the locals do end up liking those spots, you know. And when we went in the one in Minerva, like there was like a really interesting conversation going on at the bar that I wanted to talk to. If I wasn't hanging out with my friends on the patio and I was there alone, I would have sat down and talked to these old timers about their town. And again, yeah, maybe they are Trump supporters and climate change deniers, but you know, on a basic level, we all have some kind of interest in like, you know, interesting facts and place and where people are from, you know. So, well, so Dimitri, you said it. Guess it's hard to run a business where it's seasonal and not busy. And so, me and Aaron did go to Minerva once to this brewery, and that's why I knew it existed. But we had never ridden bikes there, and we went when it was kind of cold out. The place was so packed, we had to sit in this tiny little corner, and we just kept our eyes locked on the bar. And when two people got up, we finally shot up there and got to sit at the bar. So these places will draw people year round, you know, because you could sit and have a drink and a good meal and see something you haven't seen before, you know. And again, like I said, it doesn't mean you have to drink. It's not about drinking. It's about like having a welcoming place where you could talk to people. Like, I'm going to have a beer. The fact that Dylan didn't have a beer, we still had a really good time because we had it angled us to a direction. So I think that's why a lot of cyclists, why I'm saying is like the brewery and cycling thing go together so well because it doesn't mean you have to drink or drink a lot. It's just a way to make things like make sense. Not, you know, roadies are going to go and ride their road loop, and nothing against that. I want to go and see different places, and that's kind of just a way to look at a map and like organize things in a way. So, Rusty, you didn't like Bell Fountain? We've had a good time in Bell Fountain every time we've gone there. What about geoengineering? Permasleep too? I don't have an answer for that. Jason, you said I hate when brewers get too popular and the cool vibe goes away. I bet you meant vibe there. It depends. Some people like these small towns aren't gonna like like the place we went in, Louisville and Minerva. If these places ever can beer, that would be a huge step. You know, and Dylan has the answer in that case with everything though, music, bike brands. You know, me coming from a punk rock background, that's sometimes stuff that hits me, but I'm like, some places don't lose their cool vibe as they blow up. Hoppin' Frog in Akron is one. It just the bar is the same. They're making more beer in the back and shipping it out to more places, but they haven't changed where they're at. They're not trying to be a chain. They're not opening up other breweries. It just depends. Yeah, Rick. Well, Rick, think of the good time we had in Philly because you were taking me to cool bars that you knew I would like, right? And the people we met. It's just you know, like I said, it's not about drinking. It's about getting in your element with your people. And there's just a vibe to any place that opens that really cares about what they're doing. And like I said, brewers in general, there's exceptions always, and I know them. Um, I've talked about the shitty ones on this channel a million times in Akron. But in general, if you're trying to open a brewery in a small town and you've been into like doing beer forever, like you care about everything you're doing. Like you care about the way your bar looks. You're just you care about the food you're going to have there and all that kind of thing. So, and when Rick was taking me to the cool places in Philly, it's like the conversations, like me and Rick are sitting there talking to another photographer eventually, and a woman about these really cool clothes she's wearing because we're among our people, and when they know we're there on their bikes, they think that's cool because they're the kind of people who care about bikes. So you know. So Rusty, you said it'd be cool to do a few tours a year intentionally to hit breweries not where you live. Yeah, and that's like we really like me and Aaron have done this for a long time, planned our routes around it. Before she was really into the full on like touring thing, we would drive somewhere with a starting point, and the midpoint was going to be a brewery we had never been to. And again, like it's the summer and it's 90 degrees. It was one beer and then maybe a sample. So not drinking to get drunk, like trying something, talking about it, having a good meal, and riding back, you know. Rusty, oh, so you said you grew up near a Bell Fountain and you hated it. Just like everything, I bet it's different now. You know, they've capitalized on what makes their downtown look cool. Their tiny little downtown, some places have. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing that when we ride the CNO and the Gap Trail because I know me and Aaron rode the Gap part, never the CNO part. But there were some towns that were so embracing the trail, and it was changing their little towns. Same with Ohio to Erie. Some had still their back completely turned to the trail, and they were missing out because there's other places, like Loveland and you know London that are embracing the trail and it's revitalizing their towns. Someone, I think it was Rick talking about Russ and Laura from Pathless Pedal and trail infrastructure. Yeah, they were huge advocates for that. And then like, if your town was something that had some industry that just doesn't exist anymore, like, and you have a bike trail going through there, why you wouldn't embrace that? Um, so Dylan, we were talking about that when we rode through Massillon because there was a detour when we were coming back up the towpath. Massillon does nothing to embrace the trail that runs through their city, and it's such a lost opportunity because that's actually a city, not even a small town, but a city that doesn't have a lot going on. Um, there's one brewery, it's not even on their main street, it's a little bit out of the way. We really like it, but like again, the downtown is this legacy downtown, and if they would just put bike paths and signs that led right off the towpath and led all the people who are doing Ohio to Erie right now into their town, is like, here's an Airbnb, here's a hotel, here's a place to eat. Like, it would change that city. So yeah, Pudgy said we have a good restaurant in Mechanicsburg that has good food and top shelf bar. It's always slammed. Yeah. And it's not just us cyclists. There's motorcyclists who do the same kind of thing. There's people who just they go like I have a couple friends. Oh, Dylan, you met him last time you were up here. My buddy Josh, when we were down in Kenmore at their little street festival. He does that. He rides his motor, and he doesn't drink either. He rides his motorcycle around, and he's looking for a cool place to stop in a town, that has something decent, something interesting, and yeah, it's just a place that has good alcohol and a good bar just means that probably trickles down to everything else they do. So you don't have to have a drink. Like you just want somewhere cool to go. Like people want somewhere cool to go. So Jason, you're talking about Missing Mountain. Yeah, we had I we have some acquaintances that work there that I really like, and I really like Missing Mountain's beer. I've always liked their food. Their view is really cool, but yeah, they gave a shit about our bikes once, and I'm 50-50 on the place. So, the GCN Plus video with Ted King doing the bunch of breweries. Oh, yeah, I watched that one as well, Rusty. Yeah, and it was interesting the way they put that together. There's like the end of the day thing, the lunch thing, it just depends. Sleepy Hollow, he said, oh, we thought we were talking about Utica at first. Jay Dandy said Ravenna is getting a weed dispensary off the Portage hiking bike. Yep. Me and Aaron and Ben rode out. Me and Aaron and Large Marge rode out to Ravenna. Went to some weird bar they had that was like half trying. Still, but again, a good destination. We're like, it wasn't the best thing that we've ever eaten or had, but it was still like a place to go and plan a route around. Oh yeah, and Dylan, you ride a motorcycle too. I forgot. Yeah. Oh yeah, Pudgy. Like every 10 miles, there's something like where you go on the bike path for sure. Since I've ridden through there. Yeah, we like literally when we plan our trips and we're going through that part of Ohio, we're like, if we're tired here and we need a break here, this is where we'll stop. If we're tired here. Rusty's weed comment is pretty good. Yeah, I same. I don't, I don't smoke anymore, and I have no problem with it. But what time is it? It's 9:41, but I've been riding my bike and it's 90. It was 95 degrees, and I've been slamming water, so I have to take a leak. So I'm gonna play the members video. We'll pretend it's 10 o'clock, and we'll be right back because I'm gonna wet my pants. I'd like to take a moment to thank the channel members. They're the ones who make it possible to invest this much time into YouTube and also to buy the gear that makes it possible to run this channel. So thanks to them. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there's a link to that down below. One more thing, if you feel like it, stop by the gear shop, which is also listed below. You could get some cool bandanas, stickers, shirts, swag, whatever. And now you can get back to your beloved Tuna Boat song. We will be back in one moment. Dimitri, two things I have to say. So, what happens at 10? It was just early on in the live streams. Someone asked if they could watch the live streams at work, and I said if they were work safe or whatever. What is that acronym for work safe? And I said, yeah. Usually until about 10, if I've had too many drinks, and this is 2020 when doing anything else. And I was like, then I might get then we get a little loose with our words. So we've come up with a rule that until we play the members video at 10, no cussing for this one guy whose name I can't even remember. So that's kind of the rule. But also, Dimitri, I'm cracking up because I'm remembering 2 or 3 days ago on the Terry Twitch stream, you weren't chatting, and everyone's like, "Where's Dimitri? Where's Dimitri at?" And like the whole entire chat and Terry and Snake Baby are just talking about and then we're all talking about, do we need to send someone over to make sure he's still alive because Dimitri's not in the chat today? So that just hit me that I forgot about that we were like talking about you completely for your lack of being there. So. Daylight swearing time, not safe for work. There you go, Rusty. NSFW, not safe for work. Oh yeah, let's look. I got Leesville Lake up here, ready. Oh, Dimitri, you said you were lurking but feeling the love. Yeah, your one buddy who's also from Toronto remembered, and he said you were busy, and we all completely ignored that and just kept going as you do with the thread of Dimitri's probably laying in a ditch dead, and we need to save his life. You know, so. Hey, what's up, Jim? Yeah, I remember your comment about Syracuse. Yeah, so me and Pudgy, so Pudgy who's in the chat, and then Aaron and Large Marge. Uh, oh, my camera froze. Uh, try and fix it. I don't have a backup set up tonight either, so we'll see if I can get this going again. Ah, dang. Turn it off and on again? The old off and on again trick. Are you serious? The old unplugging it and plugging it back in has always worked for me. Anyways, I will pull up some internet while we do this. All right, here we go. There you go. Just pretend that's me talking to you while I figure this out. Oh yeah, Jim, I'm gonna finish that point. So, like I was saying, like you could ride all the way between New York City and Buffalo on that trail, but then there's also that trail around the lake, so it's amazing. So, really cool. Definitely got to get out there and check that out. So, oh, that's definitely the Windows Sleepy Howler. That's I'm unplugging the camera and plugging it back in. Let me go look at the back of the camera and see if it's still there. Oh, by the way, Pudgy, I see you just did the 17 months. Holy shit. The members chat. So Stream Elements had a huge update, you know, where I could have like the voices come up. And I was hoping one thing they would update is if member did the member chat, it would read it out loud like a super chat does. Super chat. It doesn't. They did not. They didn't add that. They shut the whole website down for a day and they didn't add that thing. Really bummed me out. Oh yeah, Jim. Yeah, so with the Empire Trail, you can go into Albany and down to New York City, or you could go up to Canada. Let me try. Let me see what this camera's doing. I think no dice on the camera. It's just not working. I bought new connectors for it too. I bought new cables because I was worried that that was part of the problem. Let me see. What is that? Now it's not even showing anything. Oh, here it is. It's showing it to me now, but not to you guys. Weird. What the hell? There we go. We've lost autofocus. Oh, there we go. We're back. We're back. Raymond said to punch it. That's my new normal behavior. I am an angry technology guy when stuff stops working. So, Jim, you said you can take a train with bike to Syracuse to Cleveland for 65. Nice. Yeah, if I can't stream from my basement, this doesn't bode well for the idea to eventually be able to pull off streaming from bikes. Actually, channel member, I want to hit him up at some point. I'm so busy for the first half of the summer. Uh, but Drift King, he was doing streams with just a Raspberry Pi and I think his phone, I believe. And I went through his channel and I thought he had a setup guide on how he did it, but I couldn't find it. So maybe it's from his website. Need to reach out to him directly because I'm like, just around Akron, like when Terry B's doing live stream from the bike, he has 3 modem and a live view. And it's like, I'm not getting that involved. I don't have the capacity for all that, but it would be cool to do like some small ones around town or the nights where I'm not making it back at home to start the streams on my way home. But it would have to be something simple and like low quality, but where we could still talk. So
Rick Urbanovsky super chatted $4.99. This is all the money I have left after getting the Rivendell Gus Boots Wilson.
well, I can imagine that. I've never even looked up the price. I don't even know the price of Rivendell's. I assume they're spendy, but on the side of that box it also said made in Taiwan. So I mean, they definitely have you locked in on which side is up there, huh? Whoops. Excuse me. What else do we got in the Discord? Let's see what else is in here. Oh, Rusty is drinking bourbon. Oh, the camera shut down again. Oh, it's back for no reason. Ohio bourbon. Who is it? Red Feather. Pot stilled, very small batch. Never heard of them. Fudgy said he's kind of surprised that Grant allows Rick to associate with us now that he has 2 glasses of the Kool-Aid. I think Dylan had a couple photos of, well, he has this photo. This is what he was riding. Whoops, wrong button. The tumbleweed that we mountain biked on and did 150 other miles of riding on. Yeah, did a really good job of pretty minimalist packing. So I was impressed. Like that is decently light load there. But I was thinking too that I just saw pictures of Dylan working on his Velo Orange build. Was that in Fix This Bike maybe? Oh yeah, that's where it is. Yeah, there are a few Bridgestone owners among the membership. Look at this. The 2x Life. Um, build a routenneering bike. We were also talking about when we were hanging out last weekend about those Growtech brakes, and so far Dylan seems to think they're pretty sweet. So I think maybe instead of going with clampers, I might go with these on the Rally. 2x GRX. This is the stuff I like to see. See this part right here? See that little word right there? Oh, Bridgestones, the pre-rivs for sure. Rusty. Rusty, you just don't know what good shifting is. Yeah. J- oh, Sam, you bought a pair of the Growtex? What do you think? Let us know. I think I'm going to too. I think I don't know if they'll have time, but I'm going to take the if everything lines up and works out right. I just did some work. Our Dirty River did some work today on my Marin. Put the happy stem on it to bump the bars up. I have a front rack on the way. Hopefully, it gets here for a shakedown ride this weekend for the Swift camp out. But I think I'm going to take the Marin on the bike tour and maybe take the Riv, my Raleigh into the shop to have everything fixed up and a tear down rebuild on it while I'm gone over 4th of July. And I think the Growtex are the way to go. So Rusty said 2x and Shimano. Gross. Rusty, Rusty, you're fairly young. Have you ever known the benefits of riding a 2x and all the gears and having Shimano where you don't have to shift one gear at a time, but you could shift multiple gears at a time? These are things that people used to take for granted and enjoy when the Japanese were running the show. Before the Americans got in there and had to simplify everything to not do stuff. Oh, Sam, you said that you haven't installed them yet, but they came in over the weekend. Dylan was also talking about how well the Growtex, so off the Shimano SRAM stuff, Shimano's better. There's no need to discuss it. But how the Growtex came with all the different mounting hardware, bolt lengths, compressionless housing, all the stuff you need, and how much value there is in that as well, which is true. So, Rusty, yeah, I know your bikes shift crisp and quiet because there's no gears to go through, you know. Not mechanical. SRAM doesn't allow you to shift multiple gears on mechanical. The you know, SRAM's not automatic. You know, if you come from the shotgun world, you know, you have an automatic. You hold the trigger, it shoots a bunch. That's Shimano. SRAM is. That's why Lanky's video about the Campy stuff. Campy lets you do it in both directions, and that's why if you can afford it, Campy is king. 2x has more gears, but most of them are useless or overlapping. How do you figure? The math doesn't line up on that. All right, Rick. We'll see you later. I have a 6:30 wake up call, so I'm not going that much later either myself. I have to shoot a bunch of doctors' portraits at 7 a.m. Like 16 of them. So, what time is it? 10:02. Yeah, I'll do like 10 more minutes. But yeah, Sleepy Howler, micro shift. Yeah. Shimano does suck. SRAM just doesn't really make a decent 2x mechanical system with a clutch. So, what is that argument? SRAM doesn't make what you want, but Shimano sucks because they make what you want. Shimano makes what you want. Shimano makes what we want. That's what they do. They make the group sets that people want. So, they started knocking off Campy in the mid 80s, and they have perfected how group sets should work. I understand electronic. I don't have the money for electronic. That SRAM makes great electronic group sets. When it comes to mechanical, when it comes to mechanical road levers, no one makes better group sets, 2x group sets than Shimano. Rusty, you're not comparing apples to apples there. My wife has a stock Shimano 2x with a low gear of 34.34. My Kona has a 1x stock of 36.42. Yeah, so what? That doesn't mean anything. I could put I have a Velo Orange crankset on my just like the Velo Orange crankset Dylan has on his bike, which has a lower front ring. I mean, like, what does what comes stock have to do with anything? You know, GRX isn't 34.34. Large, you stay out of this. He said, how many Shimano derailleurs has Tim broken? Two to be exact. But I was also using them in a way they weren't intended for. I was using Shimano derailleurs with kind of gravel gearing, but the high gear isn't useless for me. Wow, this person's back. Two by GRX isn't 5011 for the record, Rusty. They don't even sell GRX in 5011. I'm running a road group set on my gravel bike, like a pure road group set. So that's just because my preference. So, but that's not what GRX is. GRX doesn't have a 5011. So I think the highest gear on GRX is 4811, right? And that's only if you want that. This is my channel, Rusty, and I have the right to ignore whatever I want. Hey, what's up, Party Size? How you doing? Oh, Party Size is here. I got the bandana on tonight. The The shift action isn't better on SRAM. Way more ergonomic on those fucking gross big levers and that disgusting rear derailleur. But 9-speed Shimano is where it's at. That's Chris prefers microshift. I have a microshift group set, an interesting one, double lever, almost like early Shimano STI levers. Shimano, who also invented STI levers. So. Pudgy, you're a Shimano guy too. You know that. I've ridden both group sets. They're both fine. They'll both get you where you want to go. Shimano just makes more refined mechanical shifting. That's all there is to it. They've been at it longer. They do a better job of mechanical shifting. Yeah. There's no argument there. You know, Shimano has refined the process. SRAM makes better electronic group sets. Shimano makes better mechanical group sets. So. Oh, party size. You have the grab band on for the Solstice ride. Nice. Chris said friction equals cheap and it works. Yeah, I mean, I can down tube shift. I could bar end shift as well. But if I want indexing, you go with the best. And Pudgy, Rene Hurst tires aren't overrated. They're the best. No one makes better tires than Rene Hurst. I mean, they're the best. They're made in the Panaracer factory by Panaracer, and nobody has a better tread pattern. Period. I've ridden with a bunch of people with Ron's tires that have blown out. I've never blown out a Rene Hurst unless I overrode it. As Sam says, if you ride single speed, you don't have to worry about group sets, which is true. Um, but that's a different ball game. We're talking about shifting. Like, I got my single speed, and again, yeah, that's running vintage. We got Mayfac stuff on there. We got Mavic stuff on there. Yeah. No, and someone asked me in, I think, Terry B's stream, either today or yesterday, I don't know, but on Twitch, like, do those tires wear out faster? And I said, absolutely. Like, if you want like tires that last, you get Schwalbe marathons, right? Or whatever. But if you want performance tires that are comfortable, you get Rene Airs. Like, it's they're two different things. Like I worked at AutoZone. Like, the brightest headlights were the most expensive and they lasted the shortest amount of time. And we would tell customers that. They'd be like, "Oh, so these are the best?" And we're like, "Yes, and you will have to replace them more frequently." Like, and they're like, "Well, why is that?" Like, because they're the brightest and they're the best. They don't last as long. And that's the same with good tires. They're the most comfortable. They're the best built, and that makes them not last as long. So Mavic Zap was the pinnacle of modern day shifting. I've watched people on YouTube try to ride Mavic Zap. Man, that is a. There was a pro team that had to run it for 1 year. What a fucking nightmare those things were. They did not work well at all. Mavic Zap is the pinnacle of being ahead of its time, but not being there yet. In my, I don't remember what Shimano airline is. I've heard that term. Was that literally like air powered, like kind of like hydro? I think. Like I said, I love to joke. If I'm gonna build a if I'm gonna build a bike, no expenses spared. I'm getting Shimano GRX on it. I'm building a gravel bike with Shimano GRX. Like if we're saying no expenses, maybe it's a Tomai or maybe it's whatever. It's some kind of custom frame. Maybe it's a Waterford, maybe it's a Gunner. I don't know, but it's going to be GRX is going to be the group set. But I went out and rode Otis's Gunner. I've ridden. One of my close friends runs a bike shop. My best friend works there. I've ridden every kind of group set. They're all. It's like it's like I said with cameras now. Like you can buy a Fuji, you can buy a Nikon, you can buy a Canon. I'm not partial to Canon. It's just what I own, and so if I'm gonna buy something, I have to buy a bunch of lenses and all that. I'm just in Canon's world. I'm in the PC world where all the stuff I'm gonna buy is gonna be PC, not Mac. Like it's not because PC is better. It's because what I'm used to and what I like. I could buy a bike with a SRAM group set and totally get by and get used to it. If I'm going to spend a bunch of money and have my preference, it's going to be Shimano. I think Shimano's a little better, but not in the way that it's going to make me a better cyclist. I'm not going to ride my bike better because it has Shimano versus SRAM. I'm just going to, at first, like it a little more. I could get way more used to SRAM than I could to a Mac computer. That's for sure. So, oh, it was Shimano's attempt to make pneumatic shifting. That's right, Pudgy. Bear Claw would be up there in the choices. Tim said 10 more minutes than 2 by happened. What did Chris said? Gunner looks like nice bikes. Yeah. Gunner makes like, if you want an American made frame, I, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you could get a more affordable, like high quality steel bike that's American made for the price than Gunner. I think they would be like, if you're talking quality and price balance, I think Gunner is probably number one. And that's the reason they exist because the place that makes them, Waterford, price is not an object. They're full on custom bikes. You order everything in the dimensions you want it. And that's, it's an old Schwinn place. And that's what they made, where they made their Paramounts. And that's what they do. They started Gunner to not, I think, like, this is the wrong word, but dirty the Waterford name, kind of in a way. It's like we could have something that's not super premium, it's not lugged, so you could save some money there and air hard and steel. That's like the point of Gunner. But I think they're super cool. Like, you could get a frame that's not that much more expensive than an All City that is made in the US, so. You said Chumba, Reeb, and Moots are made in the U.S. and are more versatile, and they cost twice what a Gunner costs. But Moots doesn't count. Well, I mean, these are titanium bikes, too. I'm talking steel, yeah. And Dylan said Chumba is the only one that's close price-wise, so. And again, like, so you have to compare apples to apples. So you can't compare a Moots to a Gunner, Moots are titanium, Gunners are steel. Like, two different things. Lynxes, 2K for their domestic tie frames, really? Yeah. And also, like I said, Gunners you can go all the way up on. They will customize them. They'll custom paint them. You could get them. You could make your gunner frame cost $5,000 if you wanted to. So, oh, Dylan, we were talking about this when we were mountain biking. Yeah. Diamond shaped tubing, you're out. Yeah, that's what we were talking about when we were at Hampton, down at the bottom. I've seen the photos, but I'm not that aware of the quality of bikes. But I'll tell you, there's nothing that comes out of Waterford that I wouldn't trust. Um, that I think is the point I'm trying to make. They make some bikes that are within reach of normal human beings, and your bike is going to be backed. You know what I mean? It is totally backed. But are Bear Claws American made? It's an American company, but are titanium Bear Claws made in the U.S.? I didn't think they were, and that's not a negative. You know, there are beautiful bikes made all over the world that don't have to be handmade. You know, I was just comparing a very specific point, right? You know, yeah, Waterford is in Wisconsin, Sam. Yeah, yeah. I didn't think Bear Claws were American made. Yeah, and like I said, there's not like we've talked about this before. There must be one. All of a sudden, and this is not to Bear Claw, but like there must be a really good factory in China or Taiwan that is making great titanium frames. And so companies are now, Thompson being one of them, are setting their specs and their designs to this factory and this company that is making these great titanium frames. So, it depends on what flavor you want of that. And the same goes with 80s racing bikes. Once the Japanese started making the great racing bikes, Schwinn shut Waterford for that reason, or in the early 90s in Schwinn's case, and just had them all made in the Japanese factory. Like that kind of thing happens, and it doesn't mean that it's garbage. But I'm just saying, if you want an American made steel bike that is comparable in price to the really other nice steel bikes out there, it's hard to beat Gunner, I would think. So, and Pudgy said it's pretty well known that there are essentially two tiers of Chinese titanium frames. Yeah. And I think some of it comes down to like when Dylan was on with his he doesn't have it anymore. What was his titanium bike? That was not even the point though. Talking about the components of talking about buying components from small companies or smaller companies like, White Industries and Paul and companies who are CNCing stuff. It doesn't always mean that some of these parts are better performers. If they're equal performers with the good stuff, but you're supporting people whose faces that's just a choice you want to make. I don't make that choice all the time. I don't have the money for it. You know what I mean? I'm just saying sometimes that's the choice you're making. If you're buying Chris King or Paul, like part of that ideal is that like this is a small company in the US and you've chosen to support that company. So, and not something you have to do with everything in life. Not all of us can afford to do everything like that in life, but, you know, just a consideration. J. Dandy said, "Get a frame that fits and save your money for wheels and tires," which is true as well. I mean, oh yeah, Dylan's was the Y Cycles. Thanks, Pudgy. But yeah, you can do that with a vintage frame, and then you could buy like really nice wheels that are Velocity or whatever. And I'm not a weight weenie either, so my stuff doesn't need to be super light. I'm not racing. Like I want it to function. So hey, what's up, Rock Paper COVID? Investing local. Yeah, you know. Pudgy said, yeah, I like that he can call Jason or Dustin at Bear Claw if he needs to see them. Yeah, just something that's a choice. And, Lenky, when he was making his video about Campy, he was just like, it's kind of cool to buy a group set from a place with 700 employees instead of 70,000. I get that. Campy is a premium product partly because they don't make as many as Shimano or SRAM. So just get a Thai Firefly, Tim. Yeah. Like I said, and that was, we've talked about it a million times. That was one of my things that was a little bummer with Swift. Like, I think Swift, you know, you guys all I think Dylan and a couple other people recommended them to me. I felt like they made, and me and Brad, funny Brad, talked about this. Like, their bags just had the best design in the business for bike packing. But I paid the premium because they were made in the U.S. They didn't come over on a shipping container. There was no fuel or not a ton of, burning fuel behind them, right? They weren't made in a sweatshop. Like, that was like also a benefit to buying from that brand, Roadrunner and Velo Orange and some of that stuff. That's sometimes I make the choice to pay the premium for those products. So, kind of a bummer when they went overseas. I understand it. They want to expand, they want to do more. They found a factory they believe is ethical and all that, but it's not the same. A $200 bag is fucking expensive. Spending $200 on a bag is expensive. And one of the factors that I take into account is like, this was made that was employing people in the country I live in. Like, so. Yeah. Yeah, and Chris, so, like Swift is making all their like custom orders and their special editions still in the U.S., so they haven't shut down. Swift hasn't shut down or laid off anyone. They're still doing what they did in the U.S. They've just outsourced it to be more broadly available, which is capitalism, and which, yeah, who knows? And they are still charging $200 a bag for even the foreign-made ones, which is a little bit annoying, but. And I like your comment, Rusty, and I think I'll close out on this because I do need to get myself to bed because it's 10:25. Like I said, it's just an early morning tomorrow. But he said, not to avert attention from the awesome bikes being discussed, but it's amazing that bikes can be so diverse and so niche, but also so inclusive. And yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's what's like these debates that like having are about like being so into something that we could discuss the nuance and disagree about the nuance, but the whole point of the whole fact of the matter is like it's all good. We're all doing something awesome. So I totally agree with what you said there, Pudgy. Anyways, let me give some quick updates going forward before I sign off. Thursday, I'm AJ, who you guys all know from the channel. He's the one who's done the Fool's Loop and comes on the live streams with Micah. He's getting an award for his support of the arts, and he invited me and Aaron and Micah out to go see that. on Thursday. It's early enough that I could make it back here, but knowing myself and my friends, we might go celebrate after. So no guarantees on the Thursday stream. Next week, gonna definitely try and do one because that'll be the last stream before we leave for our big trip, like I said, which will be the Gap Trail, CNO Trail. Pudgy, I did drop you a link in the Discord to the Airbnb we stayed at for your Ohio to Erie Trail, and I will let you know if we'll be back in time to be able to ride with you at all on that. Yeah, so my whole crazy spring is culminating in me getting to go on vacation and forget about work for a little bit. But of course, I'll still be working because I still want to make YouTube videos and take photos and all that stuff. But all that. But I am thinking of with some of the stuff we've done lately. I am looking forward to doing more meetups, and mostly not planned by me, but like getting out to like maybe the psychotherapy one in July. And I just feel like once I cross this hurdle of next week of being able to get out on our trip and have everything settled, that after that it'll be like a kind of more of a clean slate and much easier to I don't know, communicate, plan all the stuff we want to do and go forward. So yeah, bunch of bullshit to just say that yeah, it's been hectic, but I still appreciate you all and I still want to get out and hang out again and meet more of you that I haven't met, and hopefully we get to do that on the downside of summer and into fall, and definitely at Nutmeg. So everyone keep that on your calendar, and hopefully we could all get out there together. But all right, I'm gonna end it with that, and
See myself on your YouTube.
Okay, bye.
all right.
Cause
Yeah.
this time.
Fitzwater photo.